Hey everybody, it's Colin with Fire. Today we are cooking Santa Maria style tri-tip on the fire grill. All right, the first thing when it comes to cooking tri-tip is you gotta buy the tri-tip. I just went to Costco. You know, it's probably where most of you are gonna get your tri-tip. I got a nice pack. We're gonna talk about what makes the best tri-tip, what you're looking for at the store, and then we're gonna head outside and we're gonna cook it on the grill. We're also gonna make a super simple rub to go on this. It's an all-purpose rub, a little spicy, a little peppery, nice and salty, but something you can use on any of your smoked and grilled meats, really. All right, we're gonna throw a glove on one hand. We're gonna have one dirty hand, one clean hand, and we're gonna break into this. So I'm gonna take my boning knife. I'm gonna get in here. I'm gonna take my 2 tri-tips out. I'm using a cookie sheet so I don't get my cutting board too meaty, and it'll control our rub here in a second. What I have here is 2 tri-tips. Now I did my best when looking at these at the store to find something that was uniform in shape. We'll take off this little teeny tiny end right here, but we're gonna maybe do a little bit of trim on these. So anywhere I see some excessive fat, I'm gonna trim. And when I was looking for these at the store, what I was really looking for is these fat striations in the meat. So I have a lot of those white flecks in here. That means we have great fat content in our meat, and that's the most important thing. Fat is flavor, so that's what we were looking for. Anything real excess, any big globs of fat, I'm gonna cut off. So for example, right in here, that's a little globby, so I'm gonna trim that. Nice thing, buying these at Costco, they actually, I found they do a lot of trimming for you, so usually there's not too much. Now on the back here, these little bits of fat, I'm actually gonna leave most of this. Make sure my knife doesn't touch this metal sheet too much. Don't want to dull the knife, trying to keep my cutting board sanitary. And anywhere on here where I get these real thin ends, I'm just gonna trim off. It's a nice little snack for later or something like that. But I don't mind this fat. This fat on the back of this tri-tip, I don't mind at all. That's just gonna be flavor for later. You can see here, the butcher kind of messed that guy up. Any flap like this, it's just gonna burn. So I'm gonna trim that down, and we're gonna, I guess, just deal with that. Same on this guy. Got a little thin end, probably eat that as a snacky while we're cooking. Sometimes when you buy tri-tip at the store, it'll have a full fat cap on the back. I like to cook it and leave it like that also. And then other times you'll get it where they do a lot of the trimming for you and you're good. So what I have here, this is all my waste, nothing much, a little bit of fat. You can even save that, throw it into a burger grind if you want to. But now we have this, we're ready to rub these tri-tips. When I start the rub, I'm gonna rub on the back side first, the side with more fat. Let's make a rub. All right, a lot of great, excellent rubs you can buy. You can also make your own. Making a Santa Maria rub is pretty easy. There's a lot of recipes out there. So really what I'm gonna do, some level of salt, pepper, garlic, and I'm gonna add a little bit of chili with it. Some really important things I'm working on here is I'm trying to keep some size of the granules of the ingredients similar. I'm gonna start with Morton kosher salt. And I'm gonna put this in, and I'm gonna try to match my salt and pepper here, okay? And this is a rub, we're gonna make sure we use clean hands so we can reuse this at any time if we need to. So I got a good amount of Morton kosher salt. That's the same granular size as a coarse grind black pepper or 16 mesh black pepper. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put black pepper in there. I'm gonna try to do that kind of equal to my salt. If I have a little more black pepper and salt, not a big deal. We're also gonna make sure we taste this rub before we do anything. Next, granulated garlic. I do not like garlic powder, gross. We like granulated garlic, okay? It's gonna hold its shape a little better, and it's gonna mix in with here and not make a powdery bomb or something, okay? We're gonna maybe do half the amount of garlic. I find this guy at my local grocery store. This is a fine grind crushed red pepper, so it's like red pepper flake, but it's actually ground. So we're gonna add some of that in for color and for heat. And I'm a big cayenne guy, so I'm gonna add a little bit of cayenne. But my goal here is my wife still has to eat this, and she's not the biggest spice person, so can't be too spicy. But ideally we can get some color, some of that spice as we grill and smoke. You can see this grain in here. It's a pretty chunky rub. It's not very fine, and that's what we're looking for. So I'm gonna just take a little piece with my glove. Salty, peppery, we don't need to do anything to it, that's great. The thing we're not gonna do here, I'm gonna be very intentional, is we're not gonna put any sugar in this rub. We don't want that sugar to burn over the fire. We got a nice rub. We made 2 cups of rub. We're not gonna need all this for that tri-tip, so we'll have a little bit of rub left over to do something different with. Let's rub the meat. All right, let's season our tri-tip. What we're gonna do, I got a meat hand, I got a rub hand. We're gonna season this from a good 6 to 8 inches above the meat. And I'm gonna take this rub, nice and liberal. We're gonna get this everywhere. What we're gonna do here is really making sure we're getting all of our sides. Lift that up, I'm making sure with my clean hand I'm not touching the meat ever so that I don't contaminate this rub, so I don't waste it, so that I can use it again. Nice good layer. Flip this one, nice good layer. And then what I wanna do, once this is rubbed and I'm happy with it, you know, the areas that are a little thicker, we can rub those a little more than the ends. I'm gonna let this meat sit out for a good 20, 30 minutes while we're lighting the grill and let this salt draw a little moisture out and really set up on the meat. Let's go light the grill. All right, we are out here at the Santa Maria. I got this about halfway up. The reason we love the Santa Maria is it lets the coals just be hot, lets the coals do their thing, but we get to adjust the temperature of the meat based on the height of the grill. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these tri-tips. One side of the grill is super hot, so I'm gonna take the thick side of this tri-tip and I'm gonna put that over where I know the coals are. Notice when I put this on, this grill has been warming up. There's no intense sizzle. We're not trying to put any color or sear onto this tri-tip right away. And so this tri-tip is gonna just hang out and it's gonna just very, very slowly start to cook. All right, now would be the time if you wanna add some wood onto this fire too, get some smoke. Some of this fat dripping onto the coals is gonna help build some of that natural flavor coming off here, but I just went to get the wood and the wood's all gone. So today, no wood on the tri-tip, that's okay. Really what I'm looking here, I'm not looking for chips, I'm not looking for pellets, I'm looking for some big chunks that are gonna smolder and work for a while, or even some bigger logs. The nice thing with the open grill like this, any sort of like dirty smoke isn't really gonna be a problem. They're gonna burn well. So anything you got here is gonna work for beef. I really love oak. For anything else, the pork and chicken, I really love the fruit woods. Ideally, we'd have some oak to throw on here, but not a huge deal. All right, so one of our big things, lots of questions we get is how high do I put this grate? You know, we have a lot of travel here. So this grate can come all the way down, or we can make it come up nice and high. The way I like to do this, we're at a great grilling height if we can put our hand here for a couple of seconds. If we can take it away after a couple of seconds, we know we're gonna start really getting color onto our food. If we can leave our hands here for 3, 4, 5 seconds, that's gonna be a great height to slowly start cooking this. Okay, all we're doing, we're starting to see the fat get a little bit of moisture coming out of it, a little water release, but we're not seeing any sort of actual cooking yet. We're just slowly starting to render fat and get some flavor on it. All right, so we've been watching the temperature on our tri-tip. I think tri-tip sometimes around medium is good. So we're gonna be shooting for about 125 to 130 pull temp, and we're gonna let that carry up to 135, 140. So we're sitting here about 110 right now in the thickest part of this tri-tip, and we have some really nice golden color everywhere. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna drop this down over the coals and get a really hard sear on this. And what I love about this is it's let it slowly take on flavor and color while really slowly bringing up that temperature to have a really consistent internal temperature, get us a really nice pink coast to coast in this meat, and then it's gonna allow us to get a really nice sear on it. So let's drop this down over the coals. All right, so our goal here now, we're gonna start building color and we're just gonna keep flipping this. We're starting to get some real good dark color and we're gonna just keep flipping these until we get to our final internal temperature, and that color is gonna become more uniform and uniform. I can also always take these up. We're gonna make sure we get those ends seared nice and well. All right, these guys are done. This temp, we're sitting right under 135 in the middle, but these guys, they're searing. Best part about the Santa Maria, as soon as I'm ready for these to be off the heat, I just crank it up. Beautiful gold color, nothing like charred really, just a nice gold brown. Pull these up and let them rest on the grill if you wanted. We're off the hot end. These guys are ready to rest. I'm gonna bring them inside. Cooking tri-tip on the Santa Maria is the ultimate way to use the fire grill and one of our absolute favorite things to do. All right, so we got our tri-tip. The thing about tri-tip is it's got grains running in 2 different ways. If we don't cut against those grains, we're gonna mess up the whole thing. So what we have is we have grains. We have 2 pieces. Here we have grains running lengthwise, and here we have grains running kind of vertical up and down here. I like to cut one big slice right down the middle. So we find where those grains go, and we make a cut. Nice, pink, medium rare tri-tip. Now, we have to make sure we cut this differently. And this is where a lot of people make a mistake. I'm gonna set one end off here. If we continue to cut here with the grain, and by with the grain, I mean we cut the same way that grain is running, it's gonna be very tough. So we need to cut against the grain. So this first one, the cut is just coming across the grain. We get to work this down, about 1/2 inch slices, maybe a little more, all the way down to the end. What I said earlier, one of my favorite parts about tri-tip is that down here on the end, the thinner part of this muscle is a lot more well cooked than the rest. So we get something from medium well, some of the ends are a little past medium, and we get a nice medium rare center. When we come down on this side, we do the same thing. We cut all the way across here. We get some longer slices, but we cut across the grain and we make sure we get nice, tender tri-tip every single time. So here we end up with a nice full plated tri-tip. See how we did? It's one of my favorite steaks. It cooks up really well. You end up with a nice range of medium rare all the way to past medium. Feeds the whole family and is perfect to cook on the fire grill. Hey, so make this recipe at home. We can't wait for you to have fire grills in your house and on your deck and on your patio and in your backyard, so you can do this as well. But if you make this tri-tip recipe, tag us. We'd love to see it. Until next time, head over to fire.com, pre-order the grill. Or if you're watching this and that grill is available, go grab your fire grill and make this tri-tip on the Santa Maria. Have a good one.